Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of Majority Caucus. We are live from our studios here in Accra, also live on www.multitvworld.com. Well, tonight, in case you haven't heard, there's a new group in town by the name the Young Democrats. I believe this is a group made up of various, political persuasion, people of various political persuasions, and they have come together for a common purpose. Well, tonight they will tell us why they have issued a couple of releases earlier in the media, and that we will take time to listen to them as they educate myself and yourself out there watching us tonight. So without wasting much time, I have in the studio the convener of the group Young Democrats, Mr. Samuel Atukwe. He is at my extreme left. And then at my immediate left, of course, I have the communication director, who is Tafhim Bunta. And they would join me in the studio tonight as we discuss the issues that they have raised concerning the National Health Insurance Authority precisely, and also the outburst by the MP for Menchia, that's Honorable Machopoku Prempe. They think that his comment is highly misplaced. It is disingenuous, irresponsible for a member of parliament. And they also believe with the issue regarding the NHIS that there are some internal elements that are preparing the grounds to sabotage Mr. Sylvester Mensah, who is the CEO of the National Health Insurance Authority. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here.
Thank you.
I hope you pardon me.
Yeah, you're pardon.
Good. National Health Insurance has been in the media for various reasons. But of course, tonight, since you are not coming from the authority itself, I will not want to bother you much with the technical issues there. But let me come to you. You gave a release in which you were supporting Mr. Sylvester Mensah, and even went ahead to allege that you believe this whole brouhaha and hullabaloo was because you think that there are some people with some selfish interests.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished listeners. Yes, it is true. Young Democrats, we came out with this release regarding the, in fact, that was precipitated by the release by a group I call Faceless, because we did some due diligence, we went to find out what was the group about. Were they part of a system? Okay. And clearly from the press release, that came from the Alliance for Empowerment of an NDC branch.
Yes.
I mean, everybody knows that I'm the Deputy Regional Secretary for
Absolutely.
the NDC.
Yeah.
So in Ayawaso Central, we don't have any branch called Alliance for Empowerment of an NDC branch.
Okay.
So clearly within the structures, that group is non-existent. Okay. But then we went further to find out whether there were some individuals who were behind the story. And Young Democrats realized that it was just an individual. So it wasn't, there is a particular branch close to where this individual lives, and that branch is called Tonton Branch. Okay. And this guy is an NDC person. He's with the youth wing. Okay. And I'm sure that is why recently the youth wing also came out to condemn what he did. Okay. So this particular individual, it's an NDC person, and he's in that particular branch. And so it's not like to say that it is a whole branch who is, if you like, is calling on the Sylvester Mensah to resign. And so, as a youth think tank.
But couldn't you have directed the NDC's youth wing office, the national office, to reprimand such people?
Oh, no, not reprimand. The NDC Greater Accra Regional Executive issued a release. Okay. Yeah, and we dissociated ourselves from it because their release purported to link their group to the NDC. So we had to do that distinction and set the record straight. Okay. So we acted accordingly and dissociated ourselves from it. But then thereafter, the party invited the gentleman to have a word with him, because the NDC is a structured political party, and there are structures and systems. And so if you are not happy about certain things happening in the party, you follow due process. You belong to a branch. You can even start from your branch. And that's how it works.
Okay.
Straight to the region and then to national. But then to issue a statement, misrepresenting that group as a branch of the NDC is indiscipline. And so that aspect, it's where we had to deal with. But he had a right to raise pertinent issues because it's involving a public official who must be held accountable. So then you want to distinguish his conduct from the issues that he raised. And I'm sure that is where the party had to work on. But the issues that he raised, Young Democrats also dealt with it because the facts are available, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, I want you to tell me what is it that convinces you that indeed you believe this is an act of internal sabotage? Because I know that Mr. Sylvester Mensah is indeed doing a great job. I mean, he has done very, very well in terms of some strategy that he has employed, the clinical auditing, for instance. But we'll go into that further. I just need you to tell us just one concrete thing that, makes you so convinced. You believe. I read your release, and I must say it was very authoritative.
Yeah, it is. Some of us are young in politics, but then we started from a branch. Up to this level we have reached through to the constituencies and the ward before I got to the region. And there are seniors in the region as well and in the party. So we always know, it's like the police officers. Sometimes when there is some raid, stealing, depending on how it is, they'll be able to tell that this is coming from this area. Yeah. And so we know. In fact, earlier on, Daily Guide issued, in their paper, they tried to link the story with Honorable Adekoka, the regional chairman. Yes. I can state authoritatively that Adekoka is not
behind it.
Adekoka is not. And indeed, Adekoka has rather been very instrumental in ensuring that somebody who comes from the region excels, like Sly Mensah.
So Young Democrat is not accusing Adekoka?
No. Adekoka has nothing at all.
Who are you accusing then?
We know of the people who are behind that.
Names,
and
perhaps?
You see, don't be surprised. We just came from an election, and people are jostling for positions. Yeah. So clearly, sometimes you want to play down on some others so that you can have a face whilst you lobby. But our position is that lobbying is legitimate. Lobbying is part of the political process. So if you want to lobby, you go through the corridors of powers and lobby. Do not, especially when you belong to the same political party, the NDC, bring down on another NDC person thinking that you would come and do, look, the boomerang effect will be there and it will not be good for the NDC. And that is why we think that the people doing that, we caution them. And we have met some of them. We are not ready as a political party to bring some of those names out.
So but you don't believe in naming and shaming?
Not in this jurisdiction. Not in this jurisdiction. But we know some of them. And we have spoken to them. And the party has also gone on to speak to some of them. Because we know them. It is not the best. If you think you can do better than Sly, just go and show. And by merit, I believe the president will consider you. But clearly, Sylvester Mensah has done extremely well, even though we believe there are challenges. And the challenges must be dared. We have to dare the challenges.
It's a human institution.
It's a human institution. And so that is the angle from which we came from. We know them, but we wouldn't want to put them out there.
Okay. I'll come back to you. So we deal with specifics in terms of some significant achievement that has been chalked by Sylvester Mensah ever since he assumed the CEO of NHIS. But to him, one would say that, this is a corporate issue. This is a corporate affair. Young Democrats, you have no business meddling in the manning of National Health Authority. Leave it to them. They have, for instance, Ameto Kwame, he can deal with this. He's a communication consultant. Why the Young Democrat? Do you think this is the best strategy as a communication director, that you need to form a group and that maybe perhaps you could help the communication directorate of NHIS to handle this issue?
We are not helping the communication directorate of NHIS, no. Okay. What we seek to do is to set the record straight. Okay. Young Democrats is a group that is very much interested in national discourse. Our perimeters are not limited. We seek to ensure that there is the right information out there and there is no misrepresentation. If you look at the issues that have come up, for me, I think they are non-existent. What is it that the boss of NHIS has done? I mean, there are no issues. Like the convener said, if you have personal issues with him, then you can hold him on those personal issues. If not, you should be able to tell us that this and this and this that he has done, or the scheme has done, that is not proper. If not, there are no issues. So we as Young Democrats need to ensure that at least, if for nothing at all, individuals for selfish interest and parochial interest as well will not get up for want of any other thing and begin to call names and make superfluous allegations that do not hold water. So we are more or less watchdogs to ensure that the right information is kept out there for the public to consume. So if you are not in line with what is right, and you think what you are doing is in a way trying to dent the image of people, then we would have to call you to order. And by also doing, we would also have to ask you to come out with your facts. And that was exactly what we did in the press release.
But Mr. Mu say that perhaps Mr. Sylvester Mensah has hired the services of such wonderful gentlemen to do some PR in the media for him. I mean, I do not know if there's any financial motivation. I don't know. Maybe you want to share with me.
That's ridiculous. I have not met Mensah before. I have not met, all I know is that he's the boss of the NHIS. I have not met him. I have no contact with him. What we need to do is to ensure that the right thing is done. And that is what Young Democrats are doing.
Okay, absolutely. I'm sure that it is within the right of every man to have his own defense. But Atukwe, in terms of achievement, some of the rumor making rounds is that perhaps national health insurance is collapsing. And you hear the MPP sing this chorus every now and then. During election 2012, they sang it. You know, national health insurance is collapsing. We need to have rescuers. By rescuers, they mean the MPP. To what extent this allegation is true? If indeed there has been an achievement to show that indeed we are on course.
Tremendous achievement. Tremendous achievement. But before I go to the achievement,
okay,
I just want to add just one thing to what my brother said.
Of course. That
Young Democrat has not just been formed. In fact, Young Democrat was formed in 2012.
Oh.
Yes, and indeed, during the elections, we played instrumental role in ensuring that a young leader for the first time is elected. And indeed, the young leader was elected, and that is His Excellency President John Mahama. So it's not like the Young Democrat has just been formed. We are very structured, very, very, very structured. We have a website. We have a social Facebook page.
I would want you to mention them as you speak.
The website is www.youngdemocratsghana.org.
Okay.
You can also Google. You can go to your website and open Young Democrats Ghana, and the Facebook will pop up, and you can contribute. It's a platform that many people contribute on. So it's a very structured, and we are engaging ourselves in intellectual exercise. If you examine the 2008 NDC manifesto, as far as healthcare is concerned, the NDC promised a one-time premium policy.
Yeah, questions have been asked to that extent.
If you remember.
I was hoping we won't go there.
No, but it's good you clear the air.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the NDC was unable to implement that. Ghanaians considered all the circumstances, and that is why they voted the NDC back into office.
They were convinced by the excuses given by the NDC.
They were convinced.
By the excuses given.
Somehow, they believed that the reasons that were alluded were genuine, and that the government, when given opportunity, can do better. In 2012,
but the health minister still believes that it is possible.
The health during the vetting, that was her personal opinion.
Okay.
But if you examine our 2012 manifesto,
it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Now, if you also examine recently what the stakeholders in a technical workshop, I think they came out with a recommendation, and it appears to me that a recommendation reconciled with the technical inputs made in our 2012 manifesto. So in 2012, the president never promised Ghanaians that we're going to implement that. That, in effect, is to admit that it's going to be a huge challenge. Already the SSS, the single spine, is already taking a lot of our resources. Yeah. So it's going to be very challenging. So that is something that we need to set the record straight on. Okay. Now, let's then have Ghanaians most of the time, some Ghanaians easily forget. Okay. You know, the NHIS, we took office, that is the NDC, took office on December 7, 2009. Is that not the case? Yeah. Now, at the time that Sylvester Mensah or the government took office, let's have an overview of what the National Health Insurance scheme was like. I would not want to blame the then government too much because clearly it was an institution that had begun. So it really had a fragmented structure. The institution even didn't have, for instance, a human resource department. Yes. Okay. It didn't have human resource department. That was one thing that was non-existent. Capacity building in terms of the capacity of people to work and be more productive was non-existent. People were not, for instance, going to training. There was no claim center. And that was why, for instance, there were connivance in terms of fraud between service providers and staff. And so if you remember, when the auditing was established recently, the amount of money that people had taken away from government was huge.
Is that what they call the clinical auditing?
Exactly. And this is a department which has been raised to a directorate level within the structure. So now, as I speak to you, there is a clinical auditing directorate that is ensuring auditing throughout the process. As I speak to you, as of 2010, 18 million Ghana cedis was saved through the auditing. Whoa. 18 million Ghana cedis. And all this money were going to service providers. And then individual pockets. And that is why Sly, when he came last year, he introduced the capitation. You know, you remember the capitation
project in Ashanti
region. And they were always making noise.
Yeah, the piloting.
Do you know why? Because monies that were to be paid, or areas that they were the loopholes, that they were having money. For instance, males under the program before the capitation were getting pregnant. I'm telling you.
People will falsify documents.
People falsified, forgetting that they can't simply be pregnant. Okay. That is preposterous. It's not good. All these things were happening. Now, as I speak...
But this, to be fair, it's not only in Ashanti region. I mean, across board.
No, it's not only in Ashanti region, but they exposed it as a result of the capitation pilots.
Okay.
And this took leadership. And you remember, in Ashanti region, they had to go on strike. And it took the leadership of Sly, always was in the region, to speak to them, to engage stakeholders, to understand that, look, the idea was to make the system more efficient and effective. And it came to be accepted. Okay. That is a huge achievement. Indeed. Now, again, when the government took office, one problem that the government faced was the legal regime. Okay. Now, you remember that in 2012, a new act came into being. That is the NHIS Law Act 852. That was in 2012. Before, this law, what it did was that previously, there was district mutual health schemes. Okay. And they were autonomous. And they had their own administrative systems. And so there was no coordination. So they did everything themselves. There was no coordination at all. And so it easily influenced the fraud, if you like. The new legal regime coordinated all of that. And it now ensures accountability. Okay. as I speak to you, Ghana is a hub for many African countries coming to learn the success of the national health insurance. Must we destroy the entire, National Health Insurance Authority simply because some people want power? That is not too good. We agree that all is not well. Recently, some people, not just even recently, previously as well, service providers always having problem with their claims. It doesn't go early. And so it was posing problems to them. Now, I am glad it has been paid. But then that is not as a result of incompetence from Sylvester Mensah. It was because the monies were delaying. The National Health Insurance Authority derives its funding from the SNIT, and then from the VAT levy. Now, these resources go to the Consolidated Fund, and then the Ministry of Finance would then have to make allocation to them in terms of what they deserve to have. The monies, many of the times, they delay.
Bureaucracy.
Because of bureaucracy. It is not because government has diverted the money, but it's bureaucracy. Because money don't easily flow. And that accounted for many of the challenges that the authority faced. And so the authority has faced a lot of problems, but the authority has improved tremendously. Tremendously. Now, again, at the time that the government took office in 2009, I'm sorry,
no problem.
In terms of the quantum, the numbers that the scheme was being patronized was around 6 million. I think it was around between 8 and 12 million. But then there were some defects. The defects were that during the period that the MPP were in office, what they did was that all those who registered under the scheme, you will need to renew.
Okay.
If you don't renew, your name must be taken out as somebody who is not in good standing.
Okay.
But there was no system to check. So if you register today, after a year or two and you have not renewed, the system still keeps you together and then produces a certain number that has registered. Okay. But in fact, it was only about 8 million that had registered or that were in good standing. And that was why the MPP were saying that they handed over from 12 million. And as at the time we took office running it, it came to 8 million. It was because the system was cleaned. Okay. It was cleaned. As I speak to you, it has jumped from 8 million to over 80 million patronage.
That is significant.
This is significant.
We will come to the statistics, but let me turn attention to Tafim. Tafim, normally one would wonder that when you have such an achievement, why is it that other people are not seeing? The facts are there for you to see. In Latin phrase, then say, reps ipsa lociter. The thing speaks for itself. Does it need young Democrats to, do this? Really, I mean, anybody who wants to know the facts should just go to National Health Insurance Authority. I don't think that they need to burden young Democrats to do this. But I know you have an interesting response to that. You will do that when I come after this break. Stay with me. Hello and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining in, this is Majority Caucus live on your multi-TV. We've been in the house with the Young Democrats. Tafim, we want to know the facts and figures, because it's obvious that people will not want to go there. And so, in effect, we should thank the Young Democrats for volunteering to share with us this very, very important facts. I'm sure that you have enumerated quite many, but there are some significant ones that, Tafim, perhaps we might want to touch on quickly.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. I think that the convener has done a lot of, he has, if for nothing at all, expanded the knowledge and understanding of what NHIS has achieved over the period. And let me put on record that in November 2011, NHIS in Ghana had an award as one of the best health insurance in the world.
Whoa.
Of course. So it becomes quite ridiculous for people to...
It's cause for celebration.
Of course, it is. It becomes ridiculous for people to reduce the achievements of NHIS to nothing. Let me tell you what happened. In 2008, when the NDC took over, the outpatient utilization of NHIS was a little above 10,000. A little above 10,000. Okay. In 2011, outpatient utilization was 25,000. This is a gargantuan, significant increment. Here we are looking at inpatient utilization. In 2008, when Sellers was taking over, almost a dilapidated national health insurance, inpatient utilization was just about 600,000. 600,000. In that same breath, 2011, the inpatient utilization of the NHIS was 1,400.
Like 1.4 million.
Of course. So you just cannot understand why people would want to belittle the achievements NHIS have dropped over the years.
Yes, people will say NHIS is not speaking.
I will not end there. You are talking about claims payments in NHIS that has become an albatross. At least we cannot say that the scheme do not have a problem. Certainly there may be certain problems. But yes, we also believe that NHIS has been able to bring their problems together and forge ahead. If not, we wouldn't be just as we are, because they have done tremendous effort at least to fight through to ensure that the right thing is done. Claims payment trends. In 2008, we have about 20,000 million in terms of
20 million people.
Of course, in terms of their payment of claims. By the close of 2011, it shot up over 500,000. Sorry, 500 million.
500 million. Okay.
So what it tells you is that the NHIS is growing from one strength to the other. So there are completely no issues.
So you are still within your fold, that you are convinced that if it comes to the persona of Mr. Sylvester Mensah, there's nothing that you can take away from him. I mean, he has contributed his quota immensely to the upgrading and the success of
just
NHI.
As any other ordinary Ghanaian could have offered himself to the running of a state administration like NHIS. It's just what Sellers has done. He couldn't have done, perhaps he could have done better than he has done, but he has done what it is for us to recommend him, that what he has done is proper, is right, and at least we have appreciated, not only us, I have cited an award he has received in the international community. Okay. So it's not for a joke.
So to you, it will be a major disappointment.
Exactly.
Should be in the most unlikely event that he won't be maintained.
Well, as to whether he's maintained or not,
unlikely.
that is, it resides in the wisdom of the president. Because the president believes that at any point in time, somebody must be kept at a particular place for a particular service. Maybe Sellers was kept there at this particular period to revive NHIS. Okay. Once it is revived, perhaps the president might find his services more meaningful or useful somewhere else. That one, we believe that the president can do it, and he can do it right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure that NHI is watching, and they are also listening. But quickly, let's just shift gears to the second release that you issued, captured in the GNA report. You were on the neck of Matthew Poku Prempeh, MP for Menchia. It's sad for his utterances. I mean, I took the liberty on, as it were, expressing my disapproval and disaffection for such reckless conduct. But to know that Young Democrats is agreeing with my position, no conflict of interest. But I want to know, you came from a different angle. You believe that he should be held accountable if there is any unrest in Ghana?
My brother Ali, any Ghanaian that speaks anyhow, indeed reckless, like Honorable Martin Opoku Prempeh spoke, just like how reckless Madame Aslausu always speaks, just like how reckless people like Samia Oku speak. The Womafu, you remember the Womafu issues?
Absolutely.
They are reckless statements. Even if Young Democrats.
Anthony Cabo, don't forget.
Look at Anthony Cabo. Some of them speak recklessly. Such acts ought to be condemned. We have chosen the path of democracy in this country. We have an effective judiciary that is working. We went for an election. They simply don't believe that Nana Akufo-Addo cannot, even if in the unlikely event that the election would have to be held again, President Mahama will beat John Mahama again. Nana Addo, he will beat him again.
Okay.
There is no way that Nana Addo can stand to beat President Mahama. A charismatic leader like Mahama, Nana Addo will beat President Mahama in any election in Ghana.
Some people will want to know why.
That is up to them. But President Mahama is tried and tested. He has gone through the mill. Look, sometimes people...
Akufo-Addo has also been a minister, Attorney General, Foreign Affairs.
But he has never been a vice president.
Indeed.
Look,
not.
It was an endorsement of the leadership of the late President Mills and the then Vice President Mahama. That is why we won the elections. Okay. Akufo-Addo was merely a minister of state. Okay. So he cannot compare his achievements to that of President Mahama. And so even if he had, Ghanaians didn't feel that he can represent Ghana. I don't see how Nana... Look, you remember the former editor of Chronicle, Mr. Kumsin?
Kumsin, yes.
Do you remember what he said?
Yeah, he said cannot sleep.
He cannot sleep.
Knowing that Akufo-Addo is the president
of
Ghana.
No way. He cannot. Why did he say that? These are people that ate together. They live in the same house. They belong to the same household in the MPP. I always say that the MPP would grow only when the Achim Mafia, they amputate the Achim Mafia from the MPP. If they don't do that, the MPP is going to have rough times. Okay. And when people like their general secretary speak the way he spoke recently,
yes,
then you can imagine. Look at Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
But I thought he's a fine gentleman, to be fair to Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
Physically, but his utterances and actions are not worthy of an MP. You remember before the elections?
Yeah.
He organized some attacks and they shot an NDC person.
Yes.
Recently, we held a press conference, that's Young Democrats, that he, together with his tax, should be arrested. We want to know what the police have made of that investigation.
Yeah, how far with that? I was wondering.
Well, I think that the police is acting because recently they arrested Kofi Juma and some of the people that, attacked Mutaka. There was a guy here, Mutaka. So they arrested Kofi Juma. And we are saying that people like Owusu Bempah and Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh, they should be arrested because they don't deserve to be national leaders. There is a case which is pending in court. And clearly, the judiciary is an independent body, and we must allow them to work. You remember there was an initial threat, and Young Democrats came out to condemn that initial threat before Matthew Opoku Prempeh came out to articulate that is in regard to the 327 NDC joiners.
Yes.
That was then before the court, threatening the Supreme Court judges that if the case should go in favor of the 227 joiners, then they should be held for violence in the country. Why must you speak so loosely like that?
In any case, I don't even understand or cannot even imagine for a moment why a ruling to their favor should cause some unrest.
Why should that cause?
After all,
does that determine the finality?
Just a joinder.
It's just a joinder. So you are not supposed to be speaking by heart. Okay? And so we found his conduct unbecoming of an MP. And so we just came out that, look, the MPP should call Matthew Opoku Prempeh to order because conducting himself in this way, he's not the only one. And I thought that after the election, he went quiet because I thought he believed that the NPP lost the election. Because it was all about Achim Mafia. Yeah. I didn't see him until recently. Probably within the party, they are beginning to, you know, appoint fingers at some of them that they are not seeing them.
For not doing their work.
For not doing anything. He was director of operation also. Yeah. He was I think he was director of operation. And so, and he was doing nothing, absolutely nothing. And I want you to be aware that we have him on tape. Okay. Questioning the motive behind the court. Very soon, Young Democrat will bring this issue out.
Trust me, Multi-TV will be around to bring it
exactly.
live.
He spoke to one of the Electoral Commission, you know, staff. And we have him on tape.
Okay.
Exactly. We have him on tape. Very soon, we are going to bring that out.
Was he conspiring?
He doesn't believe the MPP won the election. He believed the MPP lost the election. And so he thought that the Achim Mafia is creating problem for the MPP. And we believe that Achim Mafia, they should be amputated from the MPP.
That would include sacking Akufo-Addo because he's the head of that Achim Mafia.
Akufo-Addo is now obsolete in our national discourse.
Okay.
He's obsolete.
I'll come to Tafim, but let me activate the phone line. I'm sure my viewers are eager to share in their views and make their contributions. You know, you can reach in the studio 0302-211-701 to 0302-211-701 to 4. Keep the calls coming. Tafim, why in the world would an MP who is burdened with so many responsibilities, manning his constituency business, attending committee business, only would sit on air, and the only thought that will come out of his head is to engage in such a reckless conduct?
That is the question. You know,
but before you continue, let me take this call from Ibrahim. Hello, Ibrahim.
Yeah, Ibrahim. Good evening, Ali.
Good evening, Ibrahim.
How are you doing, Ali?
We are great by His grace.
Ali, there's this question that I want to ask you. I've seen that the Young Democrat is presenting your program. I want to know, Young Democrat, is it a recognized institution or is it a recognized group? That's the question. And then let me go on to my issue. It's very pathetic to see that Sir John is the General Secretary of the NPP. Very, very pathetic. Those comments that he made recently should come from some of us. We are the grassroots. I never expected such comments from Sir John.
Let me stop you right there. I do not even think that this is a wish. I mean, this is an agenda you'd want to wish upon yourself. I do not think any comment should come from any sensible human being on this planet. I am sorry, but this is not a thing that you want to emulate. Okay, so I have hello. I have James. Hello, James.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I want to speak a little bit on the NHIS and Sylvester Mensah.
Okay.
I do remember, and I think that, I don't know where my file is, but I can tell you on a fact that 2009, Dan Rasbotin issued directives that by 2009, if district came, would have been on its own. That means mobilizing premium and other finances to pay for their claims. Now, let me tell you, there's a district, some of them have facilities up to about 30. In 2012, claims totaling about 25 billion old cities was paid. Now, tell me, every district in this country, even their quota, the district common fund, is not up to that amount. NHIS, one district, was able to pay 25 billion old cities. The scheme has moved from one step to the other. And
okay.
We have brought competition into the health sector, where the hospitals and clinics are competing for clients. It's tough.
Okay. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time, but I'm sure my viewers have taken note of your submission. I have Adam on the line. Hello, Adam.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, boss.
Hello, good evening. Honorable Ali.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good.
All right, good. I would want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
All right. My question is what the General Secretary made recently. I would want to find out, could there be any, I mean, the comment that he made,
pointing fingers at the national security and the president in general.
Okay.
Is it not in any way criminalizing president nor any of the security personnel he mentioned? Can he not be taking any form of security personnel to be interrogated, especially make mention of the president?
Adams, what I intend to do, if you had noticed, tonight I deliberately stayed away from the comment because I would have a special edition for that. We'll discuss into details the possible criminal charges that he's likely to attract by his reckless conduct and the allegation that has gone unsubstantiated. So we will dedicate one edition to that one. That is why I, did not factor it in tonight's discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I have Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I wish to see this opportunity to congratulate Honorable Kasel Atoforsen, the MP for Jumakoye Siam District, for his nomination as the Deputy Minister of Finance. We want to say that we, the youth of Central Region, are proud of him.
Okay.
Let me see this opportunity also to comment on the NHIS. I believe that the NHIS is suffering from severe sabotage because if structures are not really good, I believe it's going to happen over and over again despite the effort of the government to make sure things are working, because I believe that most of the staff are from the previous administration. And since they always make allegations that when they were bringing this, we work out of parliament, and that they want to work everything possible so that the system collapses in our hands. So if the president really wants things to be done, certain cleanup must be done in there. And about the reckless comment, look at recently, somebody having his own accident, and the whole general secretary of a particular political party attributing that to NDC, of which I just don't understand. How can you relate this to the government?
Very upset.
For this, my brother.
Very, very upset. Okay, thank you very much for your views. I have my final caller. I have Eben on the line. Hello, Eben. It looks like I've lost Eben. But you were making the point regarding what could inform this possible, inappropriate behavior of an MP.
Yes, it's quite pedestrian. You can't just not understand why a lawmaker of a standing like Honorable Napo could go to the gutter. Excuse me to say that. Sometimes you just do not understand what is made up of our politicians. Because you are expected to live an exemplary life. Your comments must bring national cohesion. Your comments must be seen as a leader who is ready to bring peace. But when you goofed, when you speak as though you are not addressing human beings, it becomes a problem. If not, you have sent an issue to a competent court of jurisdiction, no less a court than the Supreme Court of this country. Do you not think it's an attempt to put the fear, what people say, the fear of the Lord in quotes, and the justices of the Supreme Court? Make them feel as though the verdict must go in one direction. If it doesn't, confusion. Exactly so. NPP went to court and expects to win the case at all costs. Okay. Just like they did with the election. They have, of course, just as the elections, that they must win the elections. It is the same thinking that they must win the case in court. And it's quite ridiculous. If you claim you are the lawyers that be the experts, the best legal brains we have in this country, you don't make such ridiculous and irresponsible comments. Allow the learned judges to determine the case. Well, they said they need to reinforce the spirit of partisanship. They need to give the confidence within the rank and file of the MPP fraternity. They don't believe it has to be fought only in the court. There has to be some street game, Is it they have a system where they want to bring their supporters along. But it's disappointing because most of them now are aware that it is just an attempt that cannot be achieved. I'm telling you, if you speak to most of the NPP guys, they just believe that it is just a waste of time in court. And that...
But they are not speaking out.
How would
apart
they speak
from
out?
Roku
Of course, when
whoever
Spoke,
has been detached from
when
the
he
party.
spoke, we are all aware,
yes.
and we know the kind of role Wekurubebe played in
Yes.
NPP. But when he spoke, he was excommunicated. You have a party communication director of the NPP saying that Wekurubebe is not a member of their party. We all know, when we were growing, we have all heard of Kwame Mpieni and how renowned economist and how he has contributed his personal resources to the development of MP, a founding member of MPP.
He catalyzed the sale of Ghana Telecom.
Exactly.
Explaining that the MPP needed to balance their budget, and so we need to sell that property.
And that without it, the economy will not survive.
But I heard recently from Akomia said about
he
who
has
he has no standing.
Of
Don't
course.
make references to people like that.
That is very typical of MPP.
Okay, let me pick your concluding remarks, and then we'll go.
For me, I think that we'll be very glad, Young Democrats, if Napo, comes out to apologize to the Supreme Court.
If he feels?
Well, it will be a tag on him. It will be a tag on him. We won't do anything, but I think it will serve his interest.
What will be your next step, perhaps one may ask?
We would continue to remind him.
Did you drag him before the Privileges Committee of Parliament?
We haven't discussed that as a group, but we will continue to remind him as he grows within the political landscape that he cannot lead this country with such conduct. We will continue to remind him, but if he comes out to apologize, then probably we'll say that it's one of these verbal diarrhea, and so he must be forgiven.
Like that of their General Secretary?
Oh, for him, in fact, he has amnesia, He forgets easily and he speaks loosely, and I think he's the worst General Secretary NPP
in a political party
in
could
the
afford
political
to have.
party, yeah.
Indeed, we don't deserve him, man.
I don't think him. And surprisingly, he says he's a lawyer. I believe he is, but wow. Well, Ghanaians, it's so strange.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me here tonight in the studio. And you also watching out there in your various homes. Thanks for watching. I'll be here on Thursday. Till then, enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.